Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Knightfall. This is a new show from history. This is going to be Season 1, Episode 1. It's called You'd Know What to Do. We'll start spoiler free, since it's in Episode 1, and we'll give you a warning halfway through for spoilers, and we'll go from there. So, what is this? This is basically a Knights Templar show, set in the 13th
Early
century.
1300s.
No, that was 12 something.
The first bit was 1291 for the
Oh,
opening,
right,
and then
okay.
it cuts 15
Right.
years ahead.
I remember the 12 something, you're right, yeah,
Yeah,
right. I didn't realise it was so late that it actually cut into
yeah,
the
yeah.
next century. Alright, okay. And yeah, so basically the Knights lose the Holy Grail. We cut 15 years after that, and it's kind of what is their purpose now in Paris. And, you know, there's conflict brewing with the Christians and the Jewish people, and we've got this king of France who wants to be a better king and not be vicious, but there's other people, there's deceit going on, there's backstabbing, there's all this,
Royal court drama to be expected.
if you will, yeah. So you've got all that, and you've got your noble lead character, who wants to be a good person, who wants to stand up for the people, who wants to have a purpose, and he's kind of frustrated that the rest of the Templar are just kind of content with just kind of hanging around and occasionally handing out some money to people because they're rich, they're filthy rich. So that's basically the core concept of the show. Obviously, by the end of the episode, they have a bit of direction because there's like, okay, there's something they can go do,
Yeah.
but I don't want to kind of say what that is because it's kind of the end of the episode. So yeah, so I suppose I'll ask the question since it's a new show. Connor, did you enjoy the first episode of Knightfall?
For the most part, yeah. I got some problems. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely not perfect, but for the most part, I think it's all right. I suspect you probably enjoyed it less than me, just based on previous knowledge of your likings of things of this style.
Less is true. More accurate would be not at all.
There we go.
No, I was not feeling this for the vast majority of. I didn't connect with any characters. I did not understand why I was supposed to care about anything that was going on, and I was kind of lost. And
I was never lost.
well, when I say lost, I wasn't confused by the plot. I'm saying I was lost in the sense that I was drifting away from it. I was looking at my phone.
Okay.
I was like, I wasn't, I wasn't engaged with anything that was happening, and I kind of got that feeling almost right away because the prelude scene, this big opening battle that happens, where they lose the Holy Grail, that entire thing, it felt like, first of all, it felt like a cutscene of a video game, and I'm not necessarily insulting the effects because the effects are pretty decent. They're pretty good for TV. It's more that how it's shot and filmed.
It's got this sheen to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got this video game cutscene kind of feel to it.
It does, especially I think because the wider shots when we're seeing the armies and the cities, those are where it's really notable. When you're kind of just up close, one on one with the actual hand to hand stuff, it looks a lot better.
But you got all this fight. There's people dying left and right, and characters are acting as if these are big moments, and the show is kind of doing that with the music as well. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know who any of these people are. I don't really, I'm not feeling this. Arguably, they're spending too much time on this prelude, or perhaps alternatively, it's just not personal enough. If you'd focused on maybe one or two characters a bit more closely, maybe I'd get something out of this that sets up where they are. Because especially when we actually come to I say present day, you know what I mean? When it cuts to their present day, 15 years later, it never really for me justified having that scene at this. Beyond of course, we want a flashy action scene to impress people.
No, that is it. It's mostly the spectacle, and yeah, I'm going to criticize it for that as well. It is there for the spectacle, but I mostly enjoyed the action. I like the style for the most. It has an over reliance on slow motion.
It does. It has that thing.
It does that a few too many times. Like once or twice, it's like, okay, that was a nice moment, but it does it too many times. But I like it. It does this thing where they have inside the helmet cams. I kind of like that.
I don't think I did.
No,
I don't know. It felt really. I don't know. It felt like we were doing Iron Man, but with like a knight. So it's like inside the helmet.
It. No. I get what you're saying. I like it in the sense that I think it'll work better later in the series because right now, like you say, it's lacking any personal connection because we don't know any of these characters. This is the opening, but I think if that's the style going forward, once we do know them, we can actually be in their heads for the battles rather than just okay, they're a
Yeah.
bunch of faceless knights.
I think my more broad problems for the rest of it though, because I mean I didn't get into any of it really. Like I don't even really have any. I mean obviously I can see that there's some money spent on it. Like the production value seems pretty decent. Like I can't fault that. But from a writing point of view, it just everything feels very surface level to me. Like it doesn't really feel like anything has much in the way of depth. It feels very kind of mapped out, but at the same time, I don't really know what I'm supposed to really be caring about. Even by the end of the episode, what was my hook here? Like what? Why do I care? Again, I don't want to spoil it yet, but why do I care?
Why do they care that they're doing this thing?
Yeah, like because I don't understand. I actually don't understand why it was important in the first place. If that makes sense. So, when we have more, that's the thing. The episode has more death and it has more people in jeopardy, and like it tries to make these big moments of saving groups of people, and I'm like, okay, I mean in theory this is fine, but like I've not really met anyone in this group of people to really attach to any of them. It kind of feels like the whole thing exists purely for the I don't want to say this in an insulting way to the design of it, because it's very well produced in the sense of all good costumes and all the rest of it, but it does kind of feel like the whole thing is just a vehicle to have the fancy costumes and have the battles and not have any.
I'll agree with that, and I think it's really amusing to me as well that given that it's all Knights Templar, they're not really doing much Templar stuff. It's basically King Arthur crossed with Robin Hood.
A little bit, yeah.
And to me, I love all three of those things to various extents. So that works for me. That extent, this shift into being this, the Knights of the Round Table, and good versus evil, the rich and the poor.
And to be fair, that is kind of a bias. I'm not particularly into most of those things. That said, though, I feel like if it was well written enough, it wouldn't matter that I wasn't into it. I'd just be into the characters, and I've seen that with other things that I don't like, where a show come along and say, no, it doesn't matter if you don't like this genre. We're good enough; it doesn't matter. But here, I feel like if you don't care about the subject matter, this show has nothing to offer you.
I'll agree with that. I think I enjoyed this because I enjoy these sorts of things, and I think it's perfectly fine at what it's doing. It's got some good moments, but it's not going to convince you if you're not into this sort of stuff.
Also, maybe this is more of a nitpick, but can I ask a question? We're in Paris for the whole episode, barring the opening flashback. Was there a single French accent of any kind?
I don't think so.
No, never mind the French language, right? Let's forget the fact that every single person we run into speaks English. But not even an accent from anyone. Everyone's.
I don't think so. I don't mind it from the Templars. The impression, because I get they've come here.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But the King of France should probably have a French accent.
At the very least.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, because this is the thing. It wasn't until they actually said out loud, "Oh, you're the king." I'm like, all right, so he's the King of England's here, okay? Of France. Wait, what? What? How is he the King of France?
I can't argue with that. That is just oversight. It is.
I think oversight's being kind to it.
Yeah, no, it is. But no, that is one of those things where, that really shouldn't be like this. It just shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't be. Like, it's supposed to be... Like, nothing in this episode, all in the fact that they kept saying they were in Paris, told me it was Paris. Absolutely nothing.
No, I agree with that.
Everything was English accents, as far as you could see.
You'd think History Channel would be a bit more...
You would think. Yeah, you would think they would want to at least have the accents.
They're playing fast and loose with it anyway. The whole Holy Grail. They're leaning into the mythology and folklore versus the actual historical fact, which is fine. But you'd think that they'd want to root it in that.
Yeah, but no, that's what we've got. And we have a serious topic which is at hand, which is the sort of the treatment of the Jewish people in the city and the way everyone else is treating them, and I'm like, okay, this is a pretty serious topic which you could do things with, but it's just kind of it's just a thin plot element to have a reason. It's people to save, people who are bad guys.
I mean, I feel like the show is mostly going to brush out. I'm saying how they're leaning away from the historical aspects. So the Templars' whole existence is a holy war in the East to fight against other religions. That's like their whole existence, and it's like, okay, that's just not mentioned at all outside of this very opening flashback bit.
Oh yeah, because the whole episode, all they keep saying is, "Oh, our purpose is to ensure safe travel for
No,
pilgrimages."
yeah,
That's all they keep saying all episode.
yeah.
That,
That's supposed to be a big part of the thing as well, but like
oh yeah, but
again, it's like here, look, focus on this bit.
well, it's because somewhere along the line, someone realised these people aren't going to be even remotely likable if we actually, do all the parts, all the elements that we're actually known for.
No, exactly. It's true.
Well, this is the thing. When you go this far back, there's not very many likable people. Even the people who were winning things, even the people who were, by comparison, fighting for better reasons or better things, people were just a bit more savage at times.
They were, and I think
Yeah.
I think it was smart of them to focus on that side of the Templars. Like oh, we'll escort pilgrims because that's a noble goal, right? That's oh, let's protect the weak. That's a nice thing compared to yeah, let's stamp out religion in the Middle East and make Christianity the only one.
Yeah. Well, because that's the
There's a
thing. The whole episode here is our main guy, Landry.
Landry.
He wants to protect the Jews in the city. Well, that's his thing. He keeps saying that over and over again.
Yeah, it's a noble enough goal.
It's fine. Unfortunately, he's as dull as like dishwater.
Yeah, he doesn't have much going on.
He has
I think
nothing.
His acting's pretty solid.
His acting's not bad. He's just got the charisma of a potato.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
He's just generic. It was kind of insane to me. I kept watching this and like, there was so many just generic people, like just generic white dudes who I couldn't even like.
Yeah.
I'll never
I-
recognize this guy if I see him again.
It's funny because you've never watched Vikings. I've watched season
Nah.
1, which is obviously that's history's other big show that this is the most similar to at least as well.
Is
Like this
Vikings
spins
better?
out of it. Vikings is definitely better.
Okay.
Vikings they have accents. They have there's a lot of quirk to the characters, whereas here, okay, it's a bunch of noble people. And
That's it.
part of that comes with the territory of okay, this is a bunch of religious people being noble for religious reasons.
Yeah,
But
and then some
I
of
think it could be better.
and
in
the
that
drama
sense.
feels really forced as well. Like early on, it's like, oh yeah, we took vows of chastity, but then he's like eyeing up this woman in the crowd, and then you see later on he's actually going over and having sex with her. Like he's got this
Ongoing
woman.
relationship. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to like, oh, he's a morally grey character because he's breaking the rules that he's supposed to be following, but
But it's the problem is by today's standard, it's not really that much of a rule. So it's like okay,
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just they don't set it up properly. Like you have one guy just mention it in one scene briefly, and because we don't care about him at all, we're not necessarily caring that he's shocking us by going against the rule he's supposed to be following.
Yeah.
We don't know who she is either. Like the whole thing.
a random woman from the street number 2.
Yeah, I don't know the whole thing. I just like I wasn't. The show was doing nothing to actually make me care about these characters.
That's fair.
So I was feeling pretty devoid of emotion throughout the whole thing. And honestly, yeah, by the time I got halfway through it, I was kind of like, okay, I know I don't like this. I'm just kind of getting to the end now so I can talk about it. This is all I'm doing
That's
now.
fair. I do think that middle chunk is kind of the weakest part. I think when it gets to the end and they've got a direction, a purpose in it, that's where I'm like, okay, I'm back in. I want to see more of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm good. I will happily never watch another episode of this again in my life.
That's fair. Like I said,
The-
this isn't going to convince anyone who isn't into these sort of things. But if you are, I think it's pretty enjoyable for what it is.
Oh, yeah. I will say, being called Knightfall, I was disappointed there was no Bane or Batman and backbreaking or anything like that.
No, I can't disagree more on that.
That's all I think.
Not everything has to have Bane breaking backs.
No, just things called Knightfall.
Well, I mean,
The famous
sure.
storyline in which he broke Batman's back.
I know, but come on, context. Although, how amazing would this have been if Bane had showed up and broke a Templar's back?
Oh, I'd be rooting for him. Like, yeah, kill all these boring people. It's great.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, that'd be amazing.
All right, well, I don't know how much we've got to say in spoilers, to be honest, but we'll go full spoiler. Let's talk about the ending and maybe talk about the plot, the sort of the scheming that goes on. So full spoilers for the first episode of Knightfall. So we have this whole plot where the king's sort of right hand man, he's this devious person who, actually has someone pretend to be Jewish and kill a Christian so that the city will all be like angry at the Jews, and he'll have a reason to like get them out. And he sells it to the king as, oh well, the nicest thing we can possibly do is just quietly evacuate them, and let them go find their own way somewhere else. But he actually arranges with his person who dressed up, pretending to be Jewish. He arranges with him for all his men to just assassinate them as soon as they leave the city grounds, like while they're out in the path. But of course, the woman that is sleeping with Landry overhears this. She's around, which is a nice little tease for the reveal towards the end of who she actually is.
It's where I did figure out who it was, but
yeah, I had no idea. I assumed the queen was like dying in a bed or something like that, because he kept mentioning they had a queen, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But so she passes that on. And Landry, who's now in charge because the previous guy who was in charge got killed by some
bandits almost. Yeah.
And so he goes out and he defends them all, and they have a bit of a fight. And you have
That's where it gets a bit very Robin Hood.
Yeah, it feels very Robin Hood. But like I say, I wasn't really feeling much in the fight because I didn't really care about anyone.
Oh, that's fair.
But so you have the big reveal that she's actually the queen. That he's having an affair with the queen, whilst being friends with the king and helping him train how to fight.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned how this was a nice touch that she was hanging around the castle. It was, he at the start he's hanging around the castle as well, and the other Templars kind of point that out. Like they point out that he's always there. So there are things that kind of like, okay, it works.
But the big thing though, so Godfrey, the Templar who dies early on. They find like a stone in his sword that's hidden in the hilt, and when they put it, it's got like a little thing in it. So when they put it on like this lantern, the light shines through it and like projects an image onto the wall, and it's basically saying that the Holy Grail still exists. It's out there somewhere. It's in France. They can find it, and they're like, oh, we can find the Holy Grail, and that's the big sort of like cut to the title, Knightfall. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
See, to me, that's the part where I got more excited again, because I was
okay,
like, oh yeah, we can lean into the fantastical element.
For someone who actually isn't that aware of what the Holy Grail is supposed to do, explain to me why they give a shit about it.
Because, I mean, the Holy Grail, regardless of any myth around it, the Holy Grail as an artifact is the cup that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper. So the reason they want it so badly is because it's this coveted religious artifact. Even so, I don't know how much into mythology this is even going to touch on the Holy Grail. Or, there's all sorts of stories, but even aside from that, to them, these Christians who like the artifacts are like the bedrock of cathedrals, churches around the world. This is like a big major one. So to have that in their possession is just big in itself.
But in a TV show, why do I care that they want this? If that's all it is, if it's just an artifact so they can have it on display and they can say, we've got it, why do I care if they have it?
Oh, that's fair, because I don't know yet, because I don't know which angle they're going to lean into it. Like, I don't know, are they going to play it just as an artifact, or are they going to say it has, magical properties that it can, heal, bestow long life, those sorts of things?
Right now, it's just kind of like, okay, you're telling me this is really important to these characters, because when they think it's destroyed at the start in the flashback, they're like, oh my god, the Grail's gone. Oh, however shall we live? But they never actually even hint at why they care about it, right? And
it does bank on you being familiar with what the Holy Grail is in general.
Yeah, but even having an idea of what it is and knowing about it, like I still don't really get why they like, it doesn't really show me why they care so much. Like why this is like the be all end all, why this gives them purpose again.
Again, it's just one of these really holy artifacts to them specifically is why that works for me, because it's like, right, imagine that they had the cross that Jesus was crucified on, right? Imagine that they had that in their possession, but then it was lost, and they thought it was destroyed, and then they went, "Oh no, we can get it again." Do you get why that would be a big deal to them?
Yeah, to them, sure, but
which is exactly.
But ultimately, though, I don't really feel that at the end of the episode, though, because I don't like. Okay, so they want this thing back, but from a drive point of view, from an emotional point of view, I don't understand why I care. Like, I don't get anything from it. Like, why do I care if they get it back? It's different. Like, let's say it has mystical properties, right? Let's say it brings people back from life. If they drink from the cup, bring it back
Yeah.
from life, right? I don't know if that's actually one of the things that it does, but I'll assume that's one of them, right? So let's say it's that, and let's say someone really important who's going to like stop the war and like bring peace is dying, and they have to do this to save their life. Okay, there's a reason for it. There's a goal. There's a noble reason why we need the cup because it'll actually do something good. Whereas right now, all it is we want it.
Yeah, I didn't say it was a noble reason. It's one of those where this is a historical artifact that we should have, so we want to have that in our possession. We want to, keep that around, preserve it. If nothing, even if that is the only thing, that's good enough for me personally.
But here's the thing though. So in like say an Indiana Jones movie or I don't know anything where you've got someone hunting for relics, right? They'll at least build the character enough that it's they're obsessed about, like it's a passion of theirs that they need this thing and it'll feel like a personal thing. Here though, it doesn't ever really feel like that. It just kind of feels like they're all just supposed to care about it. So at the end, it's like, oh, the Holy Grail, which again they've not mentioned all episodes since that opening flashback, right? And it's like, oh, the Holy Grail, like oh my, like we can get it back. Like again, I don't feel anything from it.
No, that's fair. I'm expecting episode 2 to kind of explain how what version of the Grail they're kind of going with, how fantastical it gets. And I mean, like to see, okay, is it going to have magical properties? Is it going to be that, or is it just going to be this is an important religious artifact? I don't know what they're going to play with it, but either way, personally, I'm okay.
Well, at the risk of just repeating myself and sounding even more negative, anything else you would like to mention or either praise or critique or whatever?
I quite like the music throughout. I mean, like I say, there are one or two moments at the start where it's playing it. It's overly dramatized for things that it thinks we should care about, but we shouldn't. At the same time, it should be just maybe playing it more just for look at the epic scope. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. I think again, just looking at that opening scene, I think a smarter thing would have been to make it clear who was who for a start. Like a lot of the Knights Templar, when they've got their helmets on, they've all got beards. Like they're not clearly distinct in any big way. And I think there's like, if they'd stuck with one character and gave us a reason to care through action, where, and I know they have that moment where he runs back to like save someone. It's the same people later on from the Jewish sort of people that I'll even say, but is it okay? It never. Again, it feels so telegraphed to me because it's just kind of like, oh, here's the bit where we show that he's not an evil person, he's a nice person, he goes back to save someone. Whereas, because it doesn't stick with him specifically, it's jumping around these various nights, and this is where it was starting to feel really hollow to me, is because you kept having these moments where they were like saving each other, like where the other guy like jumps in and like is shot in the leg with the arrow to like save him. It's like, oh no, he's going to die, and he jumps in, and it's like, oh, he just saved his life. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't know who either of these people are yet.
No, that's fair.
So I'm like, whatever.
I kind of disagree. I think the characters are probably the least interesting part of this right now.
Which is the thing, for someone who doesn't really care about this setting or this type of story, the characters
that is a problem. Yeah,
the characters are the one thing who would make me like it. It would make me care about it.
Yeah,
but since I don't, the rest of it's just kind of. I mean, yeah, it's got a sheen to it.
For me, it doesn't have forever. Don't get me wrong, but it has enough time of I'm into this enough as a premise to give it a chance. A bit more, it gives a bit more leniency than. It's like when something that's a genre show that you love, you're into the idea. You kind of give it a bit more of, okay, well, the characters aren't there yet, but okay, I'll give it time. And I'm at that point now. It's not like, okay, I'm definitely watching this, till the end of the season. It's, okay, give it a few more episodes, see if it develops.
Okay. So if it's not clear, I'm never watching any more of this. So I was thoroughly bored and uninterested for the vast majority of it. And when it cut to that title at the end, which, by the way, really over-the-top animation of all the letters flying towards the camera.
It is. It's very mid-2000s.
Yeah, it feels out of tone with the rest of the show. But as soon as it did that, I was like, okay, stop, right, I'm done. Right, TV off. I'm finished, thank God. Let's go. But yeah, so this is the thing. But hey, so that's Knightfall. Yeah. With a K, obviously, just in case that wasn't clear. Anyway, so let us know what you thought of the episode if you watched the show in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mildfuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?